Good evening and welcome to the SSDP 2018 awards ceremony. And a little bit later we'll have a shindig. We'll do some dancing. We'll put on our dancing shoes and boogie a little, yeah? I'm so excited for everything that we have on deck tonight. And first, of course, we start with the announcements of the results from the board elections. So, in his second to last act as the chair of the board of Students for Sensible Drug Policy, may I welcome to the stage candidate for Davis City Council, Eric Goods.
Just a second, folks. I'm preparing the results real quick. Let's see. All right. Let's see here. All right. So those are the that's the Russian ones. Okay. No, we don't want those. We want the regular ones. Okay. All righty. All right. How are we all doing tonight? We doing all right? It's such a treat to be here. I am so very much looking forward to this. We had so many incredible candidates for our SSDP Board of Directors election. First of all, give yourselves a round of applause for an incredible election in Congress. Thank you so much. Oh, all right. Nice. Now to kick this off, we're going to have the secretary for the board of directors, Rachel. She's going to come up and kick us off. So we'll start with that. Oh. And I'd also like to invite all of the current board members to assemble in some tidy fashion off to my side here. Thank you so much. The front should work too.
If you line up in front, thank you. Okay. All right. Is this everybody? Okay, cool. Is this everyone that's here?
Yeah, I think
we're okay. All right. And now I have the pleasure of announcing the alternates. Second alternate for the board of directors is Michael Williams.
Let's have all the folks kind of go through and give us a handshake through, and then that way makes it a little bit.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
You're doing great.
And first alternate for the board of directors is Samantha Milius.
All right. Our first regular member for the board of directors for this election. So those are our two alternates, and we have 6 more to go, so bear with me. So coming in at number 6, we have Odunola Oladejo. Coming in at number 5, we have Riley Tillett. Okay. Coming in at, okay. Hey. Coming in at number 4, Leslie Templeton. Coming in at number 3, Amy Hildebrand. Coming in at number 2, James Gould. Coming in at number 1, and for this part we're going to do something a little bit different. So.
Y para la primera, vamos a hacer algo un poco diferente.
The number 1 top vote for your new SSDP Board of Directors
La persona quien tenía los más votos para la posición primera
is
es Emma Rodríguez. Primero.
Let's give all these wonderful folks a big round of applause. This is your new Board of Directors for Students for Sensible Drug Policy. Oh, picture.
All right, folks. Members of the Board of Directors. Oh, cool. It's always such a bittersweet moment to welcome the new members of the board because we know that that means we have to say goodbye to a few, although not true goodbyes because you're not allowed to go anywhere, Katie Stone. And in fact, as his final act as chair of the board of directors, Eric will be chairing our meeting tomorrow afternoon. On his birthday. So be sure to wish him a happy birthday tomorrow. And many, many thanks to Eric for all of the incredibly hard work that he's put into being board chair this year, for being such an excellent partner in keeping this, this vehicle that we build for you moving in the right direction so that you can fill it with all of the wonderful things that you do. Thank you, Eric. And now for the first award of the night, Mr. Tyler Williams.
Thanks, Betty. So every year we award the Shark Award, the Baby Shark, to the chapter who earns the most cat points in the program year as of the conference. And as of this evening at 7:46 Eastern Time, the chapter with the most amount of cat points at 5,055 points is the University of Colorado Boulder. Congratulations, everyone.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So this next award is the Speaking Truth to Power Award, and it actually hasn't been awarded since 2012. Back then, SSDPers took over the New Hampshire primary student convention and got nearly every major Republican presidential candidate on the record regarding cannabis policy. You can actually find those videos still on SSDP's YouTube channel, so go on and check it out sometime. It's really awesome. But this year we decided that it needs to be awarded again because we want to recognize a chapter that achieved something very similar just a few months ago. This chapter organized a debate on their campus centered around drug policy with 4 candidates for governor in their home state of Connecticut. Through this debate, they were able to get every candidate on the record regarding cannabis policy as well as other aspects of drug policy reform. They received national media attention for their efforts and have established marijuana legalization as a key issue in this year's gubernatorial election. Please help me congratulate this year's Speaking Truth to Power Award, Yale University.
The next award is the Rising Star Individual Award, which recognizes the most outstanding individual who is in their first year in the SSDP network. Nominees, please stand and remain standing to be recognized. And audience, for these awards, please hold your applause until the nominees have been read. Yahav Erez. For the remainder of the evening, audience, please hold your applause until all the nominees have been read. Brooke Ward, Eva Louise Kreiser, Tori Sheridan, and Patrick Kelsch. When I first met the winner of this award, they were interning for another drug policy reform organization, the Drug Policy Alliance, as a freshman. This was certainly eyebrow-raising, as it's difficult to land an internship there. Knowing this, I instantly had high hopes, and I can say without any hesitation that my expectations have been exceeded. Since we first met, this person knocked their internship out of the park, completed the SSDP campus policy gradebook for their campus, and immediately identified some policy change opportunities and got to work. Noticing that students are subject to dorm evictions for being caught with banned substances, and hearing about instances of students being approached by campus public safety officers and local police forces with weapons drawn, simply for congregating in small groups, she decided to spring to action. And most recently, at a public meeting, she spoke truth to power when confronted by a movement leader who's been in the drug policy reform movement for decades, who irresponsibly announced to the room that, quote, race is not an issue when it comes to drug policy reform, end quote. In short, they've done everything I've ever asked them to do and more. And I can't wait to see what heights they achieve as an SSDPer in their final 3 years as a student at Howard University. It's with great pleasure that I give this award to a mentee of mine, Brooke Ward.
All right, so the Rising Star Chapter Award recognizes the most outstanding chapter, which is in its first year in the SSDP network. Nominees, please stand and remain standing to be recognized, and again, hold your applause till all nominees are standing. University of Pittsburgh, Howard University, University of North Dakota, Occidental College, Brandeis University, and Governors State University. Nominees can now sit down. When this chapter first joined the SSDP family in August 2017, they laid out an ambitious and detailed plan for their first year on campus that was music to an outreach coordinator's ears. They wasted no time establishing an executive board and hosting their first meeting, all within a few weeks of the start of the fall semester, really within actually like a week of the start of the fall semester. They took an immediate interest in the Just Say No program and had been working to complete the program by the end of the school year. Throughout campus, they have begun to make a significant name for themselves, forming alliances with a diverse collection of student organizations and planning several campus-wide events in coordination with these allies. They have done all the little things right in their short 6 months of existence. I have no doubt this chapter's best work is still ahead of them. Please help me congratulate this year's Rising Star chapter, University of Pittsburgh.
All right. The Morgan Lesko Online Activism Award goes to the SSDP chapter or member with the most outstanding online presence and is named after SSDP gift wizard Morgan Lesko. You may have seen some of his work. This year's winner has volunteered countless hours helping with the SSDP website, on the chapter activity tracker, and engaging with our social media. In addition to the work this person has done for SSDP, they've also been nailing it as a web developer for Maps. Not only has this person dedicated his time to the top organizations in drug policy, he has founded his own awesome organization which serves to help people who have criminal records determine whether their records are eligible for expungement, sealing, deletion, or other mitigation. And of course, the memes. I am honored to present this year's Morgan Lesko Online Activism Award to James Gould.
Awesome. All right, next up, we have the Randy Hencken Award for saving our asses. It was established a few years ago after SSDP found ourselves in a precarious position. We lost our largest foundation grant and were in jeopardy of not being able to pay our bills. The then chair of the board, Randy Hencken, embarked on a very ambitious and successful crowdfunding campaign which raised over $100,000 in less than 2 months, which saved our asses in a very major way. In the spring of 2017, we found ourselves in another precarious position. You'll remember that at this time last year, our updated website was launched with a variety of fatal problems right before SSDP 2017. Not knowing where to turn, we reached out to a former webmaster and great friend of SSDP. This person has a full-time job and puts in countless volunteer hours for tons of organizations, but somehow he found time for us. I don't have the vocabulary to explain exactly what he did, but he spent who knows how many hours fixing our broken internets, which could not have been fixed by turning it off and turning it back on again. Having a working website is an essential piece of any successful organization, and this person saved ours along with our asses. It is my great pleasure to present this year's Randy Hencken Award for saving our asses to my dear friend, Garret Overstreet.
Okay, sweet. So the Fundraising Award was established in 2012 to recognize Nova Woodridge's widely successful fundraising efforts to fund their trip to Denver. This award is for the chapter with the most successful and inspirational fundraising efforts. Nominees, please stand and remain standing to be recognized, and please hold your applause until the end. University of Texas, Austin. Kent State University. University of Colorado, Boulder. And Dublin University. There's so much, There is so much I can say about this year's winner. The creativity and tenacity with which this chapter has approached funding student aspirations and opportunities is truly inspirational. They raised thousands of dollars to fund their regional conference and were prepared to bring 14 students on their own dime to SSDP 2018. In true grassroots fashion, this chapter has financed their events and traveled through the support of their community. And it brings me great pleasure to present this award to the University of Texas, Austin.
The Stuart Ableson Goodwill Award honors an SSDP donor who has gone above and beyond to support our mission to empower young people to make change. This year's nominees are Green Lion Partners, Jason Dorsett, Medicine Man, the Libra Foundation, and Sharon Bronling. The winner of this year's award is a leading cannabis investment and operations company that believes so strongly in making the world more sensible that in 2017 they became one of SSDP's first esteemed trustees. But they don't just support the movement with donations. They're politically active, having met with lawmakers in South Carolina more than 40 times to advocate for medical cannabis, and they're joining us for Lobby Day on Monday. Even though they basically locked in this award win back in September when they literally offered an SSDPer the shirt off their back so that he could look sharp at a fundraiser, they still kept giving us advice, donated badly needed graphic design support, and sponsored this conference, and even spoke on a panel. They're also really fun to hang out with, and if you're lucky, you might get to meet one of their office dogs one day. I'm thrilled to present this award to Green Lion Partners.
The Dave Borden Friend of SSDP Award goes to an individual or an organization who's gone above and beyond to strengthen the SSDP network. The award is named after Dave Borden, who 16 years ago became the first friend of SSDP. 16? Oh no. That was more than 16 years ago, wasn't it? Oh yeah. Like 17 or 18 or 19 perhaps. 20? Maybe 20. I don't know, you guys. I wasn't there. I'm sorry? Right, but when did we, anyway, we'll figure it out later, Dan, resident historian. Because he's old, Victor says over here, thinks he's so funny. Who 16 years ago became the first friend of SSDP when he gave us a desk in the DRC Net offices and provided critical advice and guidance to our founding members. This year's nominees will have you stand when I announce your names and then sit down following the applause. Greenbridge Corporate Council, the International, hold your applause, Katie. International Drug Policy Consortium, the Drug Policy Alliance, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, the ArcView Group, the National Cannabis Festival, and Garret Overstreet. This year's winner has grown much closer to SSDP in the last year, helping us integrate into the global civil society network of drug policy reformers. They recognize the importance and value of youth activism, always seeking ways to amplify youth voices at the United Nations, where they provide critical advice and assistance navigating that maze-like bureaucracy. They have encouraged SSDPers to run for positions on civil society entities, such as the Vienna non-governmental organization coalition for, what is VNGOC? VNGOC, thank you. Sorry, you guys. It's been a long day. The NYNGOC and the Civil Society Task Force, and they are always seeking ways to help grow the SSDP network. For this and more, I'm honored to present the Dave Borden Friend of SSDP to the International Drug Policy Consortium.
All right, so the Scott and Cyan Banister Campus Change Award honors a chapter that has demonstrated remarkably successful efforts to change campus policy. Nominees, please stand and remain standing to be recognized. Yale University, Brown University, Jindal Global Law School, Bowling Green State University, and Chapman University. This chapter encountered a particularly unique problem when they went to see how they can improve their campus drug policy. Their school didn't have one. While no rules in the books regarding drugs may seem like an ideal scenario to many, In reality, what this meant is that the school passed along all drug-related campus incidents directly over to police, even in cases where a student was just calling for medical help. Recognizing that an explicit Good Samaritan policy on campus would help resolve this issue, the chapter set out to write the first ever drug policy at their school and succeeded after several months of submitting proposals to the administration. But what truly makes this year's winner unique is that they are the first SSDP chapter to ever pass a Good Samaritan policy on a campus outside of the United States. With plans to start proposing GSPs in other schools throughout India this year, this chapter is committed to making sure no student in their country ever has to hesitate to call for help in a drug-related emergency. They weren't able to join us today, but please help me to congratulate this year's Scott and Cyan Banister Campus Change Award winner, Jindal Global Law School.
The Change Beyond Campus Award goes to a chapter who gets involved with reforming drug policies outside their school in their local and state communities. Nominees, please stand and remain standing to be recognized. University of Massachusetts, Boston, Boston College, University of Central Arkansas, University of Michigan, SSDP Sierra Leone, and Hamline University. Oh, and Golden Gate University School of Law. Cool. A big part of being an outreach coordinator is connecting your chapters to local resources. But when I moved to California to join SSDP's staff, this chapter was already so involved in their community that they were the ones plugging me into the local cannabis activism scene. They recently set the bar high for beyond campus work by writing cannabis equity programs for dispensaries in San Francisco, and they've included in these programs designated funding for their school's SSDP chapter to host record expungement clinics and cannabis equity job fairs. I'm proud to present the Change Beyond Campus Award to Golden Gate University School of Law. Thank you, Brooke. And who's next?
Okay. So the Grace Under Fire Award goes to an individual who handled a challenging situation with grace and poise. It's not an award we want to have to give out every year, but there is an individual in this room today who we believe deserves to be recognized. Often while working with the students in SSDP's international network, I think about how much I take for granted my own ability to speak my mind without fear of repercussion. For SSDPers in countries like the Philippines, Mexico, Pakistan, this isn't always the case. Even just being associated with SSDP can put students' lives at jeopardy. Such was the case with this year's award winner, who was forced to flee their country and seek refuge in the United States after their life was threatened last year due to their activism. A staunch believer in harm reduction and human rights, this young activist has refused to let those who seek to silence him or our movement succeed. He has remained an active, passionate member of SSDP, continuing to coordinate harm reduction seminars in his home country of Pakistan, remotely from Houston, and even participating in the 2017 Support Don't Punish Global Day of Action. His story is an inspirational reminder to all of us that fear and intimidation will not stop us from ending this fucking drug war. I am grateful. I'm beyond grateful and honored to present the Grace Under Fire Award to Wiqas Ahmad.
The Outstanding Alumnus in Service to Drug Policy Award is presented to someone who has done an extraordinary amount of work in service to the drug policy reform movement. Nominees, please stand, remain standing to be recognized, and then have a seat following applause. Nick Zattel, Rachelle Yeung, Stephanie Esquieta, Shalene Title, Kat Humphreys, oh, you guys are the best, Sam Chapman, Chris Wallace, and Tom Angel. And This Week in Drugs, which includes Sam Tracy, Rachelle Yeung, Sarah Merrigan, Tyler Williams, and Chris Harris. When I first met this year's winner, she was a feisty campaign intern and SSDP student. She was, in fact, the first SSDPer I ever worked with. We won a campaign together, and she graduated from law school, going on to make marijuana legal for medical use here in Maryland, and participating in implementation with both MPP and the ACLU as a staffer. She was putting in impossibly long hours building coalitions, developing relationships with lawmakers, and ensuring the values she honed at SSDP were present in that legislation. I'm going to pull a Tyler, you guys. But that's just at work. In her volunteer time, she's been an integral voice in drafting model cannabis legislation centered around racial justice with the Minority Cannabis Business Association. She's served on the boards of that organization and of Drug Story. She became a podcast personality on This Week in Drugs, and she has worked with me and many others on some of the stuff that's going to be in the memoir. We'll tell you about it later. She's one of the people I count on to calibrate my moral compass, and a true pirate princess. Ladies and gentlemen, you must know by now that I'm speaking of the exceptional Rachelle Yeung.
All right. As you all know, SSDP is fueled by volunteer power, and that extends to our alums as well as our students. The A.Kathryn Parker Outstanding Alumnus Award honors alumni who have made extraordinary contributions to SSDP in the last year. Nominees, please stand and remain standing to be recognized and have a seat after applause. Irina Alexander, Kyle Gentle, I like the one clap thing, I'll allow it. Kevin Garcia, Sam Melius, Evan Neeson, Sarah Saucedo, and Tom Silverstein. Thank you. You can take a seat. You all can take a seat. Thank you. This year's winner is probably going to be surprised by this award, and that this award is going to her this year, because not only is she a humble human being, but her contributions to SSDP in the last year are just products of how she lives her life. It might not feel like she's going out of her way when she provides invaluable support and guidance to SSDP students, fellow alums, and staff, but her just being her has saved the day for many of us. She's an excellent role model and formal and informal mentor to students and alumni alike. She has been a particularly amazing resource to those folks who are interested in direct service work, and has demonstrated how one can be successfully an advocate and work in that capacity at the same time. She is the ultimate connector. Everyone who knows her has likely been introduced to multiple wonderful people through her. She has served as a sounding board for many of us, including most members of the SSDP staff, sharing compassion, support, holding space, and lifting us up a bit when needed. Totally gonna make it. She teaches us how to take care of ourselves and each other, and in the last year, that has been particularly important. She protects the SSDP community fiercely, but with humor and compassion. I'm beyond honored to present this year's A.Kathryn Parker Outstanding Alumnus in Service to SSDP Award to one of my favorite people in the world and my best friend of 10 years, Irina Alexander.
Since its founding in March 2011, SSDP's Diversity, Awareness, Reflection, and Education, aka DARE committee, has taken on the challenges of strengthening diversity in all its forms within SSDP. The annual DARE Award is presenting to an outstanding student or chapter who has contributed significantly toward the DARE committee's objectives aimed at diversity and inclusion. These include providing a welcoming, open, and safe space for all stakeholders, and working to ensure that a wide range of perspectives are represented, and doing work through an intersectional lens that includes harm reduction in public health, international drug policy, human rights, racial justice, civil rights, and constitutional rights. Nominees, please stand and remain standing to be recognized. University of Texas, Austin, Robert Hoffman, Rebecca Diane, Arturo Lua Castillo, UC Berkeley, and Guadalupe Bravo. Yeah. This student enthusiastically reached out to me asking for resources and advice to make their chapter's activism more intersectional. They've since participated on DARE committee calls and improved the committee with thoughtful suggestions for updating our presence, inspiring us to revive our Google group to include them and other SSDPers in official DARE committee conversations and announcements. We're inspired to see them integrating the work of DARE into their chapter by organizing their chapter's own DARE committee at SUNY Albany. On behalf of the DARE committee, I'd like to present this award to Guadalupe Bravo.
So, the Outstanding Student Organizer Award goes to the SSDP member who has demonstrated the most exemplary organizing skills over the past year. Nominees, please stand and remain standing to be recognized. Robert Hoffman, Moranfalu Adani, Arturo Luo Castilla, Allison Todd, Andrew Hood, Amy Hildebrand, Beryl Kessel. The winner of this year's award oversees one of the most well-run, efficient, and organized chapters I have ever worked with during my 4 years on SSDP staff. But what really makes this chapter's winners stand out from the rest is the organizing they do outside of their chapter. At SSDP 2017, I saw this person make extraordinary efforts to ensure members from Latin America felt welcomed, comfortable, and safe during their visit to the United States. A native of Mexico, they took it upon themselves, with no instruction from me whatsoever, to begin regularly communicating with our activists in Latin America to find out what resources they needed from us to succeed in using drug policy as a tool of decolonization. They also sought to break the language barrier that often separates SSD peers by offering to translate blog posts and chapter resources between Spanish and English. Seeing how eager they were to be engaged in SSDP's work in Latin America, I approached this individual a few months ago about turning their indirect work into an official internship, which they eagerly accepted. While SSDP still has a long way to go in Latin America, their work is helping us get closer than ever to being a truly bilingual organization. Por favor, ayúdame a felicitar al líder estudiante excepcional de este año, Arturo Luo Castillo.
Here we are. So we'll be presenting the Outstanding Chapter Award. We present 2 of them each year. We'll do one now, and then we'll have another, and then the next. So when I announce the nominees of this year's Outstanding Chapter Awards, please stand, all of your chapter. Remain standing, do the clap, then sit after the applause. This year's nominees for Outstanding Chapter are SUNY Albany, Yale University, SSDP Nigeria, University of Vienna, Cork Institute of Technology, DePaul University, Ferris State University, University of Rhode Island, UT Austin, Florida State University, Golden Gate University School of Law, University College Cork, SUNY Binghamton, SSDP Sierra Leone, and Dublin City University. Great job. We're only going to do that once. SSDP chapters are well known for changing the world. They do it all the time. This year's first award is going to a chapter that also changes people. They've built a family on their campus that radically improves the lives of their chapter members and their broader community, from harm reduction volunteering to live music outreach to policy change across the state. Not only are they doing good SSDP work as a chapter, they consistently make my job and my life a lot easier. Except now. They work with other chapters in the area, literally starting other chapters and helping to spread SSDP across the entire state and build up our Illinois network. Y'all have done such an extraordinary job and worked so hard. I love you too, Eric. And I love DePaul University, who is the award recipient for Outstanding Chapter this year.
Word. All right. So this is the second Outstanding Chapter Award. And this is the third consecutive year this chapter has been nominated for this award. This year, they established a harm reduction hotline for students through which students can receive free naloxone, fentanyl testing strips, harm reduction advice, substance adulterant testing. They provide naloxone and overdose response training to their resident assistants. One of the chapter leaders even developed the server and Android app that would help track the number of overdose reversals in their state for their state's overdose naloxone initiative. They have truly cultivated a culture of SSDP in their community that is spreading to the rest of the state, inspiring students across several schools to join the SSDP family. Congrats to this year's Outstanding Chapter, University of Texas, Austin.
It's a huge chapter. I'm gonna do this. So the Outstanding Student Activist Award goes to the SSDP member who has the most exemplary individual activist over the past year. Nominees, please stand and remain standing to be recognized. Orshi Fair, Arifa Bokhari Kumara, Eleanor Holm, Hunter Knight, Rebecca Diane, James Gould, Nick Joseph, Samyak Gangwal. So probably about 75% of the people in this room have come up to me at some point this weekend or over the past couple of months and told me how amazed they are by the growth of SSDP's international network. And while I'm truly floored that you think I deserve all the credit, I have to tell you right now that I really do not. The truth is I constantly rely on a number of amazing students to teach me how to build SSDP into a global community, a number of students and Sarah Merrigan. This year's winner is one of those students. They have been a force of nature since bringing SSDP to their country in December of 2016. On the national level, they have petitioned for medical marijuana and organized our city's first psychedelic society. But this student's most impressive accomplishments have come at the international level, where their work has allowed our organization to have unprecedented access to the United Nations. You guys know all the blog posts and things that you guys read about what's happening in the UN and everything that's happening around the world that you tell me you're so excited about? Honestly, I want everyone to stand up right now and give all that applause to Orshi Fair because she's been doing such amazing work for the UN.
Last year, many of you will remember that we named the Lifetime Achievement Award at SSDP after Eric E. Sterling, who has achieved so many extraordinary things in his lifetime. Thank you, Eric, for being a person truly worthy. When I first met this year's winner, she was a feisty campaign staffer and an SSDP alumna, the first I had ever worked with. We won a campaign together, and she returned to Massachusetts to legalize marijuana there and have a delightful son who now sends drawings to the SSDP office. Yeah, they're real cute. She formed the first cannabis hiring firm explicitly centered around bringing women and people of color into leadership in the cannabis industry. She worked to defend racial equity in the cannabis industry by directly influencing legislation and ballot initiatives, participated in drafting that same model legislation I mentioned before for the Minority Cannabis Business Association as both a member of their board and their policy committee. And perhaps she is the first SSDPer with a full-time gig as a state official in charge of implementing legalization and regulation. Like, in charge, you guys. She's one of 5 at the top of the commish, ladies and gentlemen. Her influence is impossible to capture, as is the regard in which her peers and colleagues hold her. Another moral compass for me, truly a queen of the Stone Age. This year's recipient of the Eric E. Sterling Lifetime Achievement Award is Shalene Title.